My brother-in-law locked our 12-year-old daughter in a walk-in freezer for exposing what was happening at his wedding, so we fought back until he weaponized CPS and the school system against us. But then we documented everything and turned his own biggest strength into the thing that destroyed him. Last Saturday, my wife took our daughter to her cousin's wedding at a fancy hotel, and that's the last time I ever saw my baby girl as I knew her. I could have called off work to attend, but I find my wife's side of the family to be extremely insufferable, so I turned down the invite. Around 3 hours into their reception, my phone started buzzing harder than a girl's toy in a long-distance relationship. It was my wife. She was literally sobbing and gasping for air while trying to get the words out. "Emma's hurt," was all she repeated over and over. David, my BIL, a 38-year-old man, grabbed our 12-year-old daughter and locked her in a walk-in freezer. She sounded so hysterical, and I could hear shouting and commotion in the background. My blood went cold, and I knew I needed to get there before I did something I'd regret. When I burst through the ballroom doors, I could hear David's voice booming across the room. My wife was on the floor holding our daughter in her arms, who reeked of fish and had an apron wrapped around her shoulders. David was standing over them, yelling about proper wedding etiquette and not ruining special days. But as soon as he saw me, his face went white. Wait, I can explain," he said, voice shaking. All I wanted to do was beat him until his brains was minced meat on the carpet. But I knew I had to set a good example for my daughter. So instead, I scooped Emma into my arms and tried to do breathing exercises with her. After 5 minutes, she was still hyperventilating and complained about her chest hurting, so I rushed her to the nearest urgent care. It was more important than dealing with BIL, at least for now. The doctor said she was okay physically, just severely traumatized, and that's when my wife finally told me the whole story. Apparently, Emma, our daughter, and all the younger cousins were sitting at the kids' table when my wife had to use the bathroom. That's when Emma noticed something happening in the hallway. The groom, Brian, had cornered one of the bridesmaids against a wall while she was crying, rubbing his greedy hands all over her chest. Emma, being the sweet, protective kid she is, went to my wife and quietly told her she saw Brian making Melissa cry in the hallway and asked if everything was okay. David overheard this and exploded, calling Emma a lying brat who was trying to destroy the wedding. In response, Emma said Brian shouldn't hurt girls if he wants a good marriage. David completely snapped and grabbed Emma's arm so hard it left bruises and dragged out while she screamed for help. My wife tried to lunge at them, but her dad pinned her back and said, "Let the men handle things." So she was forced to watch as Emma was hauled down to the kitchen and thrown into the walk-in freezer. My wife tried to dial 911, but her dad took her phone away and told her if she said another word, she'd be thrown in too. It wasn't until 2 minutes later, when she managed to tell one of the bigger teenagers what was going on, that they could pry the door open and let her out. I left Emma with my mom and went back to confront him and found the bride's parents already there, so I told everyone exactly what happened. David tried to say Emma was attacking the groom, but I asked, "Where are the marks from Emma's attack?" And he had nothing to say. The kids from the table backed Emma up, saying, "We begged Uncle David to stop, but he wouldn't listen." None of the adults did anything. As I glanced around the room, everyone was avoiding all eye contact.